The internet is amazing. A global network of communication and media that you can contribute to with nothing more than your phone. And I do mean nothing else, including asking permission, right? That's kind of the incredible part. You don't need a community access television station to say, yes, you can broadcast that, or a local radio show that you dial into. You just grab your phone, shoot some video, slap a background, some background music, and some visual effects into the mix, and boom, you're away. Except that background? Copyrighted. The music? Copyrighted. The visual effects? Yeah. So for every one of them, you'd need to ask permission and probably pay for that permission. And that's a problem because so much creativity depends on this kind of reuse and remixing. West Side Story was a reworking of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, which was a revamped version of Pyramus and Thisbe, and so on and so forth. And look, copyright is essential. Of course it is. There was a roaring trade in Shakespeare's scripts. People would stand in the audience copying down every word and then selling off the scripts to his plays on opening day, to which Shakespeare never saw a farthing. There's a legitimate need to protect the rights of the creator, but balancing that with the rights of the public to iterate upon those works. And thus, the Statute of Anne in 1710, which gave creators, not publishers, but creators, exclusive rights to the printing and reprinting of their works for a whole 14 years, and another 14 on top of it if you still happen to be alive at the end of that. And then the work would be available to all. That period following this exclusivity is known as the public domain. But 28 years did not last long. In 1793, the Chenier Act in France would extend copyright duration to the lifetime of the author plus 10 years. England would follow suit, and by 1887, the Berne Convention would put the minimum term of copyright as the lifetime of the author plus another 50 years. And in October 1998, this guy, the one standing next to Cher, would push that out even further to the life of the author plus 70 years, courtesy of the Sonny Bono Copyright Extension Act. It's even more impressive when you realize that Sonny Bono died in January of 1998 because it wasn't actually his bill, it was named in his honor, though he did co-sponsor a similar bill before his death. A few people were upset over the Copyright Extension Act, however, including law professor Lawrence Lessig and internet publisher Eric Eldred. Apparently you needed an alliterative name at the time to object to copyright extension. In Eldred versus Ashcroft, they argued that the Copyright Extension Act violated the US Constitution's copyright clause, which states that the United States government has the power to secure, for limited times, copyrights and patents to creators. If you can just keep extending copyright forever, they argued, that's not for a limited time, that's erasing the public domain one law at a time. Good argument, in my opinion. They lost 7-2. Lessig was understandably disappointed, but maybe there was another way to promote creativity and free culture. It's hard to relinquish your copyright claim on something. But people license their copyright all the time. It's one of the key benefits of copyright. What if you could preemptively license your work to anyone who wanted to, so long as they agreed to your terms? And it was upon that insight that Lessig and Eldred and Hal Abelson, let's not forget him, founded Creative Commons in 2001. This organization provides legal licenses that creators can voluntarily apply to their work, making it freely usable by anyone who wishes to do so, provided that they adhere to the terms of the license. So, what are those licenses? The first is Creative Commons Attribution. All this license says is that you have to indicate who created the work, including a copyright notice, if there is one, the license you're using, a link back to the original, and a note if you've made any modifications. Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike. As with attribution, but if you adapt the work, you need to then apply an equivalent license to your own work. If you remix, you have to let others remix too. Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial. As with attribution, but you can't use the work for commercial reasons or profit. Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike Non-Commercial. See all of the above. Creative Commons No Derivatives. You're free to share, but not to adapt the work. Creative Commons Non-Commercial No Derivatives. You're free to share, but not for commercial reasons, and you're not allowed to adapt it at all. And finally, Creative Commons Zero. This one's a bit different. It says that if you apply this license, you release it completely into the public domain. And with these, we're kind of back at that ideal of the internet that we discussed at the beginning. There's still permissions going on, but we've taken away the idea that you need to ask for permission. Permission is granted ahead of time in ways that you can be secure and safe in relying on. It's not public domain, which still exists as its own thing, but it's a free culture, which should be important to us in galleries, libraries, museums, and archives. Our entire purpose is to shepherd and provide access to culture, to enable others to experience, use, and understand the cultural creations of our society. The Open Glam movement seeks to use licenses like these to make culture accessible to as many people as possible for as many reasons as can be done. We create so much information when we catalogue, promote, and develop the materials in our collections. And when we make them available, we can choose to do so, often with these licenses, in ways that promote the open sharing and dissemination of that information. When we create information literacy material, we can license it so that others can use it as open educational resources. Creative Commons isn't just a set of licenses. It's a global network with 48 chapters worldwide. You, or even your institution as a whole, can join your local chapter, help out, and enable the spread of ideals of open culture worldwide. And with any luck, we can have an internet where indeed you can just create without having to ask permission.